Captain's Log Supplemental.
Hey Jeremy, you know those race cars you're busy building?
Yeah, I do. I
You,
got one that I'm looking at every day.
you know what I don't see you working on?
You don't see me working on the amazing Sentinel system yet.
That's true. It would take all of 10 minutes for you to have one.
And it's very quick and easy to install.
It is. It is. And we could watch you when we are not at the race with you and see how you're doing. And then we can call you up when you get out of the car and tell you everything you did wrong.
And I love that because so many years I've been driving and not been able to see what I'm doing.
I know.
And now we can.
I know. You know what I'd like to do with the video? My most favorite thing is I take the video and I load it on YouTube, and then I send it to my coach and say, look at 26 minutes and 17 seconds. Look at this one lap and tell me what I can do better. And every single time, you know what they say?
Everything.
Exactly. Precisely. So with the Sentinel system, you get instantaneous feedback plus useful feedback that unfortunately is accurate for my driving.
I think it's accurate for all of our driving.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's probably true. Yep. But you need to get one in your car, sir.
Yes, I do. And with the discount code that you're going to tell everybody, they can save 10% on this awesome system.
Yep. Trouble-free. I haven't had an issue getting video every time we've gone out with the Sentinel. It's always worked. Can't say the same for some of the other systems we've tried. So I don't know. It's on the podcast notes down there. Don't do it while you're driving, though. We like to have our listeners live. It's good.
From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher, and their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher, and our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. Their mission: to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Sounds like our Lemon's career in a nutshell. Welcome to the Garage Heroes in Training podcast. I'm going to be one of the hosts for this episode. My name is Bill. Who else is hosting?
I'm Vicki.
And I'm Audra.
You are, ladies. We have a guest.
Yes.
That's
yes.
me, Yuri.
That's right.
I love Yuri. Yuri's
Yuri.
awesome.
Yuri, I think we started
Thank you, thank
talking
you.
to Yuri about coming on the podcast like 3 years ago, maybe at least 2 years ago.
Right, yeah, something like that. Yep.
Yeah.
And I texted somebody wrong and then
Yeah,
I forgot about it.
it's all our fault. That's kind of our theme, I guess. But anyway, you may know him. The first time that I ever, Yuri, I'm going to bring up some a little bit of past baggage of yours, but that's okay. The
Ooh.
first time that I knew Yuri's name, you see him around the paddock all the time, and you know him and you like him, but names and I kind of were like two ships passing in the wind for a while. The first time I knew who Yuri was, it was the day after he burned his face at the bonfire at Thompson.
Really? Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't see that one. Were you the one who was lighting it?
Yeah. Don't doesn't need to light bonfires. No, that's what the jog says on the side. I was like, let's test it out.
And he did. And then the next day he looked all kinds of slimy on his face because he was covered up in every kind of first aid stuff I could know of. And it was one of those things. And then he races with Great Clouds of Oil, but he races with a whole bunch of teams. For some reason, he continues to race with Alan. We don't know why he does that, but you know, if you're going to do that, you're going to be entertained. And Yuri, as a thank you for racing with Alan, we thought it was most appropriate to have you on.
Alan's
Thank you.
Alan's just uber positive. He's just so positive.
Yeah, Alan is a cool dude.
He is.
and his car finishes, that's why I keep racing with.
Yeah.
It starts and goes, it has issues, but at the end of the day, on Sunday, it usually has a checker flag. So that works really well for me.
It either has a
Is it
checkered
fun to
flag or a
drive?
hell of a story.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Audra, I cut you off there.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Been a while since I've done this. Missed
It's, o-
some cues.
it's okay. It's not like, you know, podcasting is that easy, and it's in spite of how hard we make it seem, it's well, it's probably easier than we make it seem, but that's a different story. So
Mm.
Yuri, you've been doing this long before we started. So can we get into what got you rolling in this and some little bit of the past?
Sure. It actually ties into Tom Lamino. So a while back, I think it's like 2012, maybe 2011 back then. Um, I basically wanted to try to race on the racetracks because I was doing a bunch of autocross in my Audi, and it was fun. But it's at the end of the day, 1 year I just calculated, hey, how much does it actually cost to run a season of autocross, and end up to be like four race days. Like if I go to 4 race days, it evens out to be autocross season. So like I want to do racing like on the road track so that you know it'll be more fun, more time on the track. So so this guy on Facebook, he posted that my Fox crapped out another transmission. Like, cool. So I wrote to him like, hey, can I help you with the car? I'm free because I was unemployed at the time. He says, sure, come over. Gave me the address. I showed up one of the Saturdays and started helping. He was actually doing a 2-liter swap into the Fox that he had at the time. Rest in peace, Fox. That car is gone now. So and from there, so, I came over on whatever he needed help with Phil. Phil is his friend as well, and mine too. And I was just helping because I didn't really intend to race yet. I was trying to get more track time with HPD. And yeah, and then he's like, "Well, you help so much. Why don't you just come and race?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't have track experience." And he goes, "Don't worry about it. It's like driving in Long Island. Just do laps. You just go in there. There's a bunch of cars. We're all going the same direction, just like LIE, and you'll be fine." And that's what I did, and that's how I began racing. First race at New Hampshire,
I think
Loudon.
uh, I think racing in lemons is safer than racing on the LIE.
Oh yes, for sure.
Hmm.
You are not wrong.
Hilarious and awesome.
Hmm.
So you had the Audi first, and that was for autocross, and then what did you start actually racing with?
So eventually I wanted to have a car. So I wanted to build a car or buy one. And it so happened that a guy on the Lemons forum posted the car for sale for $1 if anybody makes it into a Lemons car. He had a road trip to go from like Allentown, I think, Pennsylvania to Denver, Colorado. And after his road trip, the car is for sale. So it had to be picked up from Denver, Colorado. Everybody was bashing him. That's like, oh no, there's no parts. The car sucks. Blah blah blah. And I wrote like, if the car makes it to Denver, I'll fly in, buy it, and just drive it back. But I have to borrow your number plate. Sure, no problem. Just give me a call when you cross the border. He texts me, I think Thursday. It's like, hey, I'm about to cross into Colorado. I'm like, cool. I'm buying the ticket now. And Friday I flew out at midnight. Saturday I picked up the car, and it was hell on earth to drive back to Brooklyn that thing, because exhaust fell out. It was overheating. It was like 95 degrees outside most of the way. The gas tank was rusted to shit, pretty much, and every fill up, you had to only use about half a tank or less. Could not go below that. You would replace the fuel filter. So there was a box of brand new fuel filters in the trunk. So you just come in, you put the fuel pump on low, and you quickly swap the fuel filter, and then you drive. And that was the 1978 Buick Opel base Suzu.
Ah, the Opal, which is side by side with the Capri.
Mm-hmm.
They had a good time with that one.
Oh yeah, and no, made it to Brooklyn somehow. We rebuilt the engine, caged it, and raged it pretty much at that point. And I've been developing the car over time with a bunch of stuff like for funsies, pretty much.
You still have it.
Yeah, yeah. That's my favorite car because it's so well sorted out. I just fill the tank with gas, change the oil, and we go racing.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And the
So-
story is not half bad either. I
Yeah.
can't believe you made it.
Uh-huh.
It
So-
was 3.5 days to get home because the car is a 4-speed. So at 70 miles per hour, it was doing 4,000 RPM. So the temperature gauge would creep up ever so slightly if you kept it at that speed. So at some point you had to slow down. The temperature will come down, and then you can pick up the speed back up. And I basically took my sneaker, shoved it between the gas pedal and the tunnel, and it just kept the speed that way. The car got between 32 to 37 miles per gallon, just hauling ass down the interstate.
So that was your cruise control.
Yep.
It's not bad. Usually I just put the seat back too far for me to reach the gas so it can't go down all the way. But I like the sneaker trick. It's really good.
If you're
What have you
hyperviolent,
added
use-
to so you had the Opal, and what else? What else do you have in the garage now?
So I had the Opel, and the Opel was doing so well that I thought I will double my troubles with a different car. So at Thompson, there was a car that looked like GT40. It was a Ford Probe GT, 1995. And the guy blew the engine. So they were thinking, oh, we'll just swap something. A year passed, and they posted on the forum again, the car for sale. I'm like, don't sell, that's an awesome car. Don't sell it to a random person, I'll buy it from you. So I bought the car from them. They were in New Hampshire. Grabbed the car from New Hampshire, oh no, Maine, I think, or in that area far north, and just brought it to Long Island, and my Opel blew up. So I had two blown cars at the same time, but so I had to repair both of them at some point.
Mm.
That car, the Ford Probe, was fun. It's actually, I sold it. It's back in New Hampshire right now. The car is actually fun and fast, and the V6, it makes a lot of good noises. But I just want to try something else at that point, so moved on from there. After I think I had it for 5 years.
You had it
Is
for
that
a while.
have you added to that since then?
Oh yeah. So then I was like, while I had the Probe, I was like, hey, another car came up for sale because the team was like dissolving, and the old teammate is actually their old teammates on my team too, and it was a 96 Nissan Maxima. That you may remember it as the OnlyFans car, the
Oh,
blue.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I got that car, fixed it up as well because they were blowing axles, doing some weird stuff with the car, and I had to sell it that car as well this year. But that was a blast as well. That's fun car, and now I'm getting I have one car I need to pick up still. It's going to be in October. It's a Isuzu Impulse. It's just a rolling shell right now, but it did pass a tech inspection and stuff like that previously. So I'm gonna work on that car next to get it working because it has the same driveline as the Opel. So I'm gonna save the driveline for the Opel, and I'm gonna put snowmobile engines into the Isuzu, so that I'll have spare drive chain for when I need it, and then Isuzu itself will just run on the snowmobile engines.
He's got it all figured out.
Right?
Yep, we already got 3 snowmobiles. It's I got the was it Yamaha VMAX 600s. The guy in Pennsylvania was selling them all three of them together, and like, all right, it
I'm
looks
in.
like a deal. They make 80 horsepower each, or so, 80 to 100, something like that. And yeah, I'm gonna plan to put two of them in Isuzu in parallel,
Yes.
so that will be like 160-ish with a CVT.
Hilarious.
I saw a listing on Facebook Marketplace. I think it was today or yesterday. Some guy has 800 snowmobiles for sale.
Oh, jeez.
You get some backups.
Might have
Can you
spares.
cage one of those?
My property is not that big to hold them all, but yeah, it's something for the future.
Mm.
Aside from the cars that you have and the Mustang, who else are you racing with? Because you race with a bunch of people, right?
Yeah, so my good friend Mike Zavarin, I race with him. He has Honda Prelude. So I race with him. I also race with Chris, who has the Volkswagen Golf. It's full smooth tools. Well, and yeah, that's pretty much the main teams that race now, and no, Ellen. And it's
Ah,
certainly sometimes I go outside of those teams and see what happens.
Have you
so
stayed
did
have you stayed mostly East Coast?
Yeah, it just so happens that don't want to travel too far.
Mm.
Um, so Pittsburgh, New Jersey, Connecticut, New Hampshire. Well, New Hampshire not so much anymore. And I think Summit Point is coming up soon. I did Battling Glen a few times with Champ and AR. Yeah, that's pretty much the tracks. I'm actually gonna hit up Palmer in September.
Nice.
hmm.
Gonna be racing Formula Vee in that.
Really?
So where did you start racing? I mean, just in general. I mean, do you have any experience before and do you work at it or did you just hop into Lemons and just figured it out?
So when I was little, my dad had like a repair shop, so I was helping him during summer. I did like little things like brakes and stuff like that. Nothing too crazy. And then when I went to college, I started doing the Formula SAE, which is like a small Formula car powered by a motorcycle. It was 600cc, I think Yamaha, Suzuki, or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
I learned a bunch of like racing science, like racing car science from there, like brake, suspension works, chassis, a little bit, and that kind of evolved into nothing. And I started racing my Audi, was just Audi 90 front wheel drive automatic and autocross because I wanted to do something racing related, but I couldn't find a job like race car stuff that was paying enough. So I just went
Mm-hmm.
for autocross and then kind of moved on to but I still wanted to learn more about race car development. So Lemons was very attractive. So I kind of
Mm-hmm.
rolled into that.
So what's your plan next? Are you like beyond lemons? Are you happy racing lemons? Do you have goals within that?
No, I'm very happy with Lemons and I'll probably continue with Lemons for a while more. I also like the AR a lot. But I wanted to see about like Formula cars and stuff like that. So while I was on maternity leave in the beginning of the year, um, I was like, I emailed the CCA and like, hey, what I can do? I have this large racing experience and did all of this bunch of stuff. And they're like, oh, okay, you can get a novice license because of your experience, especially because I did AR, which tracks your time on the racetrack. Like Lemons doesn't do that, but SCCA and other organizations require that to validate your racing experience. So because of AAR and a bunch of Lemons racing, they're like, okay, you get novice license, and I wanted to do Formula Vee, and one of my old teammates has a Formula Vee. So I was like, hey, can I just borrow it for the race? And so we kind of joined together for now for that. And yeah, I'm gonna try to develop a little bit into like club racing and stuff like that. I don't know if I'll like it or not, but definitely want to try. And while I was on maternity leave, I also like, hey, what about if I become a coach?
Mm,
So I was like, because a bunch of racetracks need your MSF license level 2 or whatever to be able to be a passenger or have a passenger with you for private
mm-hmm.
practice. And I wanted to do that so that I can balance out my teammates, make sure everybody had on the same sort of racing speed and line, whatever else, and make sure everybody is safe. So I did that too. So now I don't have MSF level 2, but I'm coach with the hooked on driving. So I have that going on as well.
Oh,
Nice.
wow. You help out at Hooked on Driving.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
so I need to do more couple more coaching events, and I should be able to get my level 2. So be like more universal.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah,
So, what do you tell yourself when you're in the car? What do you do to amp yourself up? Do you have um like a motto?
Go faster. Don't worry about dying.
Yeah. Do you get in there and you're just like, okay, this is what I'm going to tell myself to get me through the race.
It's more like uh, while I'm racing, I usually think of like holding my pee and stuff like that, or did I have lunch, or did I have enough water and stuff like that. But before I get into the racetrack, I'm like, okay, go fast. Don't worry about dying. The car is
Mhm.
safe. You're safe. Like if you hit something, it happens.
Mhm.
And
What about advice that you give to other people?
same one. Go fast. Don't worry about dying.
Go fast, don't die.
don't pee in my car.
No, don't worry about dying. Like you can die. That's okay. Just don't worry about dying part.
Why worry about it? It's just going to happen. It'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Hmm.
So I'm curious, have you done any sprint racing, or is Palmer like, is that your first foray into doing that?
I guess it's gonna be my first one at Palmer.
Yeah, my first sprint race was at Palmer as well, and I hate Palmer. So I hope you have better time there than I did.
So hopefully
Have
it'll
you?
be my first time at Palmer and doing the race there.
Why do you hate Palmer, Audra?
Oh, I just don't like it. It's nothing flows for me at that track. And I've been several times now, and I just feel like it just doesn't flow. Like you go to pit race, and the first time at pit race, I loved it.
Mhm.
New
Mhm.
Jersey, both tracks, so fun. Thompson, great. New Hampshire, But yeah, Palmer is just, I don't know. I'm just not in love with it. I'd be excited to hear what Yuri has to say after he does the September race.
No,
Sounds like
hopefully
another
it'll be
podcast, Yuri.
okay. Sure.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So Yuri, we had a couple ideas to talk to you about this when we heard you were coming on, and I was so excited I created two different docs with different ideas to go on, but you just added something. So let's skip down to Formula V racing and we haven't talked about that one yet. So what's in case our listeners aren't familiar, what's a Formula V and what are you getting yourself into, sir?
Yeah, sure. It's so Formula V to me it's more like a entry level Formula car racing. It's a Formula car that's based on a Volkswagen Beetle, like the original Volkswagen Beetle air-cooled, 1.2-liter air-cooled. It uses the driveline from it, the front suspension, the rear suspension, the transmission, the engine, all of that stuff, and you just remove the bug and you build a Formula chassis in between, and you basically race that on the track. And because it's so light, I think it's somewhere like 900 pounds or something. Um, it just goes. It doesn't have a very high top
Ooh.
speed, but it's actually very quick and fun car because you're pulling a lot of G's in the corners, and it's all momentum. There is no like burst of acceleration out of that thing.
Hmm. Any concern with going open wheel racing?
Uh, yeah, pretty much the wheel contact is quite dangerous in open wheels because you can ride up or somebody can ride up onto your wheel and
Hmm.
just be trebucheted off the track in
Mm,
essence.
right. It, so
Uh,
I've always heard of you in the paddock as, when something's going wrong, go see what Yuri thinks, or see if you can go grab Yuri because he's got some creativity and some ideas on how to get you out of the pickle that you put yourself in. Besides the traditional garage heroes in training parts canon that we tend to follow philosophically, not due to skill, but actually due to lack of skill. With the Formula V, is there stuff for you to scratch that itch of playing with cars and things you can noodle on and play with?
um, no, with the Formula V, you're kind of limited to what you can do. It because it's a spec class, so you can't just mess around with it. Uh, like bunch of SSCA events or NASA, a spec class basically limited what you can do. So you can do like blueprinting the engine, do some other things to that, but no, there's not much to do in that case. It has to be like stuck.
It's mostly alignment and tire pressures and things like that.
Yeah, you can play around with that, but that's limited. Your tire is basically spec. Um, yeah, that's it. Pretty much. We can play around with like brake shoes adjustments, idle speed. That's it, pretty much.
So
You
since your
can work
head's
on
going
the
to be
driver.
Mm-hmm.
since your head's going to be out in the air, are you going to do anything special for your helmet or
Mm, no, my helmet is actually made for the Formula car
oh, cool.
because it was on the sale and I just bought it, and apparently it was for a Formula car. But yeah, you have to have the visor closed because I drove it around the parking lot, and it just flings everything at you.
Hmm.
So definitely the visor must be closed and just kind of go for it.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much a windshield did for you until I drove the Mustang without a windshield for an event at New Hampshire, not New Hampshire, New Jersey. I will say, I want to thank all our fellow Lemons people because their cars provide a different flavor depending on who you're following, just
Mm-hmm.
liquid wise. And I still think I'm cleaning that helmet off, but
Hmm.
it
Yeah,
is.
I did the chop top event
Oh, chop
a
top,
while
yeah.
back, and oh my god, it's so horrible. It definitely needs some sort of windshield.
Hmm. When did you do chop top?
Oof, I don't remember. Maybe 2015, something like that.
Oh wow, that's a long time ago.
It was like the second event they ever put up.
Vicki and Audra, are you familiar with chop top?
No, I'm
Um,
not.
Yuri chop top. Little quick summary.
Sure,
Yes.
it's basically a road rally, and you buy a car, and you chop off the top. So no
Oh,
windshield to the back glass. You just remove the entire roof.
they do that a lot with Miatas.
Mm,
No windshield all the way
no,
back.
Oh, no, never
like
mind.
no windshield whatsoever.
Never
But
mind.
some people put some deflectors like on a motorcycle to drive. We didn't know about that part. We didn't even think about it. So
Mm.
we had a Lincoln Mark 5, I think.
Four and a half by the
Mm-hmm.
time we were done with it.
Yeah, we chopped off the top, and the race was from Chicago to Miami. Chicago was horrible. It was just like rainy and miserable and cold. As we got closer to Miami, it got better. Through Louisiana, and you basically it's like a road rally, like Lemons does. You have to hit up certain locations to earn points, or do something, and then you earn points, document it, and then the winner is declared at the end of the race.
Mm.
But yeah, it's quite horrible.
Mm.
Wow.
I mean, it sounds like fun and it doesn't sound like fun, which usually means we end up doing it. But
Oh, mhm.
I,
Yeah, you definitely want to have some sort of little deflector right in front of it, like a motorcycle,
mhm.
because doing 80 miles per hour in that thing, with the wind blowing at you and you in the jacket, whatever, sitting in the car, and just air buffering inside of it, it gets
What did
miserable.
just that's the guy with the tuba in the car?
Well, you got nothing else to do. You're just going to get sunburned. You might as well learn to play the tuba. Just, I do like that some of the chop top cars, by the time they're done, they're more of a smiley face than a flat car. It's kind of fun.
Uh,
Yep.
Chop
Yeah.
Top Challenge.
Yep.
Mhm.
Miss
That's
Vicky's
that looks like a good time.
Miss Vicky's
Maybe a
gone
little
now.
miserable, but it looks like a good time.
I think we've lost her, Yuri.
No, I'm here.
No, I know you're here. I'm worried about Miss Vicky. She's gone Googling.
Oh,
Well,
No.
yeah, well, I'm just looking at this picture of this van with the chop top on it, and it looks like
It's a
it
Previa.
has like a German band in it with a tuba.
Mhm.
That sounds so much fun.
We've lost her.
She's already theming.
I know.
Yeah, right.
She's got ideas. She's gonna call Audra the day before and say, Audra. And Audra being Audra be like, sure.
Yeah, why not?
So the way we did it, and Mike orchestrated the whole thing. We bought a car sight unseen in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
The guy had the car in his garage, whatever. We came in, we picked up the car, we went to the bar that the Chop Top Challenge was starting from.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like you bring a car and just chop it over there. They had a sawzall and whatever else and blades, so we just chopped the car right there on the spot. So it was like
Mm-hmm.
an event in the bar where we just chopped the top off.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I probably can find the picture of the car we did. Um, but yeah, it was fun, but I wish I was able to prepare a little bit better. Just because I haven't driven like a motorcycle at speed, so I was not expecting anything. So I was like, oh no, just wind blowing at you. Like, how bad can it be? It's horrible. It
So
was raining too, so as we were driving, the rain would just blow at us. And unlike in motorcycle where it kind of goes around you to an extent, it was just piling in inside.
so any tips besides a lot of sunscreen and a motorcycle windshield, hopefully?
Just have a fun and have somebody at home who you can, or somebody who you can send points where to get the like the list of points where you can go and get the points, so they can put it in the Google Maps. So they can create a Google Map file where all the points are located, so you can actually see which ones you want to hit. Because there's so many
Mm-hmm.
options, and you have to do a bunch of them if I want to score some high points. But if it's on the map, you can actually see where you're gonna hit, and then skip the others and just keep going because you are limited on time. For us, because we hit so many times, so many points in Memphis and in Louisiana, that we run out of time. We actually had to drive through the night, and it was a doozy. Like we left and we couldn't stop anymore for a hotel or just sleep over anywhere. We shot straight to Miami, and that was very tough because we were just driving nonstop at that point. So we should have skipped like early stuff in Chicago, Memphis, probably,
Mm-hmm.
and did more stuff into like Louisiana and Miami, closer to the end point, because a bunch of other teams did that. So it was half and half of us. So half did one way, the other half just went straight to Miami, just did the fun stuff there.
You really have to strategize the
Yeah.
steps that you're gonna make.
So it helps a lot if somebody is at home or somebody that you can contact, send the list, and it's not just Google Maps, but it's maps on Google. So you can create your own map with all the points and locations. Same for Lemons Rally too. It helps you to figure out where you want to go. Then you can just be like, okay, this is the points. You want to go here, 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 and here, and now you have a pass. It's gonna be, you know where to go instead of doubling back and going back and forth to save time.
Right. So you do that again.
Yeah, I would probably do the Lemons Rally though.
Oh, are you
Chop
doing
Top
that this
would
fall?
be fun, but Lemons Rally would be better. I did the Lemons Rally, the one that went around the Canada,
Hmm.
around the Great Lakes.
Mm-hmm.
all the way around, and we want basically AOE for that one. We had a Mercedes 260.
Huh.
It drove basically the same way as my Opel did.
Oh,
It was
jeez.
running on it had dual carburetors, and one of them was like not really happy. If I don't know if you remember back in the day, Jeeps had it too for a while, many other cars, where the exhaust was hitting the intake air. There was like a passage, like a special area where the exhaust gases were hitting the incoming air with gasoline to evaporate and improve the emissions and stuff like that. Well, there was a leak in there, so it was sucking in the exhaust through there. So it was running instead of 6 cylinders, it was only doing like 4.5 or something. And it was overheating quite badly as well.
Well, it sounds like the perfect Lemons vehicle for a Lemons rally.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I'm
Also,
thinking we can combine them.
yeah,
Chop
it
top
was
lemons.
yeah, you can do either one or the same car. You can do both.
I think Jeff would be all for having chop tops in the rally.
Mhm.
Hmm.
It's like a convertible, but the next level.
Yeah. It just doesn't unconvert.
Everybody wears goggles.
It's a
Yeah,
one-way
you need
convertible.
helmets.
Yeah.
So, so by the federal law, if you don't have the windshield, you need a helmet.
Huh.
Hmm.
Which is like, okay,
We got helmets. We got helmets are not the problem. I think we can there's something to be done here. I think we might have to do something about this. All right. So Yuri, we talked earlier a little bit, and I thought maybe we'd get into it because you've done it a few times. Sometimes you're still in the middle of it, and sometimes you're not. But uh, with your car history, maybe we could get a little bit into what developing a car means, because we kind of most of the time we treat our cars as fixed black boxes that just do magical things. Sometimes magic is good magic, and sometimes magic is bad magic. But we don't ever really think about playing with the car. But maybe get into what developing a car means to you.
sure. Well, I break down the car into different systems basically. So you have the powertrain, which is like the engine, transmission, differential, more or less. Then I have the suspension. So you have your control arms, bushings, shocks, springs, all that stuff. Then I have the brakes and the hubs,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have the tires and wheels. The tires and wheels, the tire itself is pretty much set. Depends on the level of competition I want to do. I have different selection of tires that I go through. So, for example, if I'm just pacing the car, just doing the laps and seeing what the car does, I just go with like a RS4 tire. If I'm trying to compete a little bit at higher rates, so we get a little bit better lap times and be more competitive, then I'll try like RT660 tire. Um, the wheel size kind of dictates the largest brakes you can have on the car. So for like 17-inch wheel, really a 13-inch rotor is the maximum you can go. You can do 14, but you need a special caliper for that, which may be useful in some cases, which is not. So big brakes is really important, especially not in terms of just like big brakes to go with that. Most important that you have the pads availability,
Right.
because you can get this amazing kits or amazing bolt-on things, whatever, and there's nothing available. It's like one special kind of order of brakes, whatever you need to do, a special round of brakes. That's not the way to go, in my opinion. So I usually just run the Billboard, the large super lights thing or narrow lights, the big caliper, or around
Mm-hmm.
like GM metric or GM standard calipers. So those are available and widely available pads of bunch of selection. Especially the GM metric is, I think, the wildest amount of pads available for that thing. You have different calipers available and they're cheap. If you want to go with iron, if you want to go with aluminum, they're more expensive. and I find them a lot on like flea markets, so I just pick them up.
Mhm.
So that's for the brakes. I basically go biggest I can fit in the wheel I'm running with the caliper I can get pads for. A
By
lot of
biggest, do you mean area or do you mean thickness or both?
both. So the weight of the rotor is important. It the weight of the rotor basically tells you the capacity of heat it can gain. So let's say 1 pound of iron can heat up only a certain amount of temperature per a certain amount of energy put into it. Now you have a 2 pound rotor. Now your heat is halved. So if you double the rotor weight in the iron, you halving the temperature of the system. Otherwise would have been. So if you have like a stock rotor, it melting things a lot. Then going bigger and heavier rotor alleviates all of that issue. The bigger rotor also allows a bigger area that the work can be applied, so it reduces the amount of work on the rotor itself that needs to be done. So it helps with longevity of things. So, for example, in my Maxima, I had the big brakes on that thing. I had a 13-inch rotor that was double the weight of the stock with the was ST43 pads in that thing.
Mhm.
The race, it would last about 3 races, up to 4 on those pads.
Right.
So you just put it and race it, and that's it. No, the car may not last, but at least the brakes will definitely last all of those events. And then you just have a spare pads available. Sometimes I would have a spare rotor because they were on sale and whatnot, so just have it in the box somewhere. But usually not required. Also, brake cooling is a big thing, but I use brake cooling to do 2 things in the car. That's how we usually develop it. Is that brake cooling first cools down the hub, because there's a lot of work happening in the hub and the CV axles if it's front-wheel drive that the stock car manufacturers didn't really think about too much, because it doesn't have to do that. So as I cool the wheel bearings and the hub, the exhaust air from that cools down the brakes. So it does the double duty.
Mhm.
So that's basically on that part.
Do you fabricate that or do you try and find something already done or how do you approach that?
I get tired of trying to find anything. I just fabricate. It's so much easier to just make it than to try to find it. I use Senkan now quite a lot for those kind of things. I just design
Mhm.
little brackets, adapters. Once you put the bigger rotor on the car, it moves the caliper out, allows you to have adapter plate quite easily fit into the space.
Okay.
Because you have the caliper in like you're putting the caliper in the same location that's not meant to be there. But if you put a bigger rotor, now the caliper is out, further away from the hub, further away from the mounting points, the stock. So it allows you to put something in between.
Mm.
So you have to do kind of both. Otherwise, you have to kind of like scooch the caliper over, so it's like offset bracket, which you can do. It
Mhm.
depends on the need on the application, I guess.
Okay. I'm
And
gonna have to go check out your car.
overall, for me right now, to make the car safe, I put 80-20 brake bias. So 80% of brakes in the front, 20% in the back. That's not optimal, but it's safe, so you can do trail braking. To go faster, it'd be more like 75 front brakes, 25 in the back. That would be higher braking capacity, but it becomes unsafe in trail braking application.
A little
Hmm.
more touchy.
Oh yeah, quite a lot. And then for the suspension part, which is doesn't give you that much time actually. So like lap times, it does not improve it that dramatically. Is typically it just allows it to have a better control of movements and suspension geometry. So like polyurethane bushings helps a lot. Just throw that in. There's usually a kit or something like that. good struts, help with the control of the suspension, and pretty much I just double the original springs rate, and I drop it like the car usually by half an inch. So I double the spring rate and drop it by half an inch. That's
Mhm.
usually what I do for the cars to begin with, and then you can go from there. I basically have a catalog of the Moog springs, like the stock springs you can get in Excel, and I made a formula that recalculates the spring rate based on the spring if I cut it, and has the inside and outside diameter, so I can get the same spring as OEM, but with the rate I want. And for like $60 per axle, I can just get a spring set. So I just throw it in.
Mhm.
And go. That seems to work fine. Or do coilovers. Yeah, that usually works out fine. And for the engine, I like to the drivetrain. I like to keep it stuck as much as I can because you cannot really improve on that too much. There's only so much horsepower we can gain out of it until it becomes a weak point. And swapping an engine is fun to an extent, but not that much fun, and kind of like waste the whole weekend. I would rather have a beer or two and barbecue and whatnot, or light stuff on fire. So I just do that. The engine is more or less stuck, and I take care of the cooling, make sure the engine coolant stays below 190, and lower is better, and oil cooler. That's a big thing. Oil cooler, like a large oil cooler, allows you to run the OEM spec oil, so 530, 5W30, whatever you need, 5W20, and that just makes it work nice and easy. And then let's see about transmission oil. After a race or two, I check if it's overheated, if it was okay, or the differential oil, do the same, see if it overheated, was okay, see if it needs cooling or not. For transmission, while on the racetrack, I usually start first, so the transmission is cold. So I do a bunch of laps and push it a little hard and see if the transmission starts to behave funky. So I know the transmission will get funky if the oil gets hot. So if the
Mhm.
oil gets hot, I consider cooling it or going up a viscosity on it. So that one depends. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I think everybody's listening may notice that the exact opposite order is usually what people start to work on, and those are the people that get themselves in trouble for endurance racing.
Yeah.
Let's slap that turbo on there because that's what's important, and don't worry about stopping because that doesn't matter. And
Well, for me, the stopping is important because, stopping is important to an extent. Um, but if you can stop at Mark 1 instead of Mark 2, everybody is stopping at 2. You just cruise past them and you stop at 1. And now you just pass everybody right there on the spot. Even though you may not be the fastest, but
Mhm.
now you're ahead of them. And they cannot get behind around you because they don't have that much more power. So yeah, they'll get up onto your bumper, but the next turn is the same thing. They stop at 2, you stop at 1, and you just start gapping, and your space becomes bigger and bigger. The
Mhm.
Opel, it's slow car, but that's what it does. You basically have to dive bomb to next because everybody stops early, but you don't need to. You just keep going. Like turn 1 in New Jersey, basically doing 80 miles per hour in turn 1. So from like 95 to down to 80, it's just a light touch on brakes at marker number 1, and you just toss it into the turn and you go.
Especially with the new
Everybody's
turn
breaking
one,
down there, and you just through it.
especially after they redid turn one, it's even faster now. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, previously it was like 70, 75. Now it's like 80, 85 you can do in that.
mhm.
If you're brave enough.
Yeah, and you don't have somebody there who's going to make it a exciting turn, so that's no fun.
Yep.
think we've all been through turn one a couple of times. We didn't really get the feeling we wanted, but that's okay. All right. So, ladies, I think we have the outline of a plan.
Yeah.
Did you ever think about it that way?
No, I haven't.
Hmm. Sounds like we need to have Yuri over to the hangar once or twice.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think you know
actually
what though? I think Yuri would enjoy the hangar. I really do.
I'm building a barn at my property. I'm in the Layton. However you say it. I'm not too far away from you guys.
Oh, really?
Right near Allentown.
Oh, yeah.
Where?
You're close. You're less than 2 hours.
Yeah, I'm
Where
at
at?
Layton, Layton.
Oh, Lehighton?
Okay,
Lehighton?
there you
Lehighton?
go. Can never pronounce.
Yeah.
It's
So
He's
I have
down by the
Lehigh Town,
Yeah.
spelled pronounced poorly.
Yeah, he's down there. You're not that
I have a
far.
place there. Yeah, I bought a place there, so I'm building a barn for the race cars and stuff like that. Because all of this time until now, I was working at the self storage in Wing Gap, Pennsylvania.
Right.
I didn't have a place; it was just outside. So I had the car on the trailer, and they're just messing around with
I
it.
did not think you were so close, Yuri.
Yeah, but I live in Queens, so I
Oh,
live
okay.
in Queens and work in the city. But yeah, all my race car stuff is out there. So I'm actually going this Thursday over there to see what I can to prepare the Opel for the race because I'm gonna do bracket GP in later
Oh,
in
wow.
September. So
Nice.
I need to get the car ready. It doesn't need just a little basic stuff, and off it goes.
He's going out to the country.
Yeah.
Well,
Leaving the city.
it's probably bajillion dollars cheaper than trying to get a similar place in Queens.
Oh yeah, for sure. And yeah, so just go there a couple of days, and then that's it. I have
Cool.
a plan of things I need to do. I prepare things as much as I can ahead of time, so I don't have to fabricable anything or very little. So I just engineer it and CAD and whatever I need and have it made, and that's it.
Well, you've got the open invite. If you're ever bored, come on by. We don't mind.
Will do.
And who knows? You might even run into Alan. Sometimes he's here.
Cool.
He would be more than willing to give you a tour. More than willing. I think that tour might take about 7 hours, but that's okay. There's not that much to
That's
see.
fine.
He'd show you everything. It's fine.
Mhm.
So, Vicki and I have done Hooked on Driving. I'm not sure if Audra's done Hooked on Driving yet, but what do you think about instructing with them?
Oh, it's a lot of fun. It definitely has its own dangers because you're basically driving with a beginner, but the whole thing is pretty nice. The way they have it set up and the way it works out is definitely better than some other places I've been to
Hmm.
from back in the day. I don't know how they're now, but um, definitely nice.
I'd be interested in going instructing with them. So that'd be kind of fun. I
Yeah,
haven't
they're
done
like newbies out there.
Well,
Mhm.
I mean,
It's a lot of
They're-
Mustangs and Porsches, the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just keep thinking when I think of them it's like little drivers stretching their little chicken wings. That's what it reminds me of. Like they're before they really commit to like a true HPDE, they just want to test it out. That's what it reminds me of.
Well, they're basically the same thing as HPD, I think.
Well, yeah, they are.
But yeah,
It's without the
HPD,
weekend commitment.
yeah, HPD is definitely fun to an extent. But at some point for me, it was that I wanted to be more like be out there more wheel to wheel and like time
Hmm.
attack kind of thing. It's totally different feel than HPD, but for beginner to try it out, just to be on the racetrack and see how it feels, that's really good entry.
yeah, I don't.
Hmm.
I mean, I know we did a Hooked on Driving very, very early, but I really don't remember. I'd like to go see them again. Maybe I'll instruct with them again. I haven't done that in a while. It'd be fun. They're local too, so that's kind of nice.
Oh yeah, they have. I mean, I think they're nationwide, but there's the one that's in the area here in the northeast.
Hmm.
So there's like different groups, I guess, of hooked on driving, so they all spread out.
Yeah, we actually I guess they're the owners now. So we know them from the corporate owners. So we almost raced with them at Road Atlanta, but then Miss Vicki got
Mhm.
drafted. So if we would have known Audra back then, we would have drafted you, Audra. We had a last minute race to Road Atlanta. But anyway, that's a long story. That's a
Ugh,
messy story. You know what we
yeah.
learned at Road Atlanta, Yuri?
Hmm?
Do not dry your race shoes in a commercial dryer.
Do not do that.
Don't do that.
So what happened? Melted or something?
The adhesive in racing shoes may be fireproof, but a commercial dryer renders it into we have all the pieces of a shoe, but none of them are
Oh,
connected to
geez.
each other.
We were so beyond soaked.
Yeah.
And we didn't have anything else, so we had to figure out a way to dry our stuff. And I was just like, let's tumble them in the dryer just for a little bit, not bake them, but just
Well, you said not bake them. The commercial dryer disagreed with your
yeah,
plan.
Oh
So
my
I think my
God.
shoes went in first and came out last because the others didn't
yeah.
go in. So that was
We
okay.
were so like everything was soaked
It was one of those
and
40
cold.
degrees and raining days
Ugh.
Mhm.
the whole
Yeah,
weekend.
That's one of
yeah. It
those.
was like 36 degrees, I think.
Yeah, it was like
It was
borderline
so
snow.
it was so cold when I was racing. Like our gloves were soaked and my hands were curled on the steering wheel. And when I had to get out, I had to warm my hands to unlock them
Oh,
because
stuff.
I just like, what do you do? Like you can't have gloves that'll keep your hands dry to race. So that was weird. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
You're
We
just
still don't have a
driving
good
with your
solution.
hands freezing.
No good solutions. But
No.
speaking of questions that potentially have good solutions, Yuri, it's Fast and Furious story time questions.
Oh,
Miss Vicki, Audra, ladies first?
Audra can go.
Audra.
Okay, the best driving or racing advice you have ever received.
Ooh, she's
Oh,
going
that's
with
a
a
good
new one.
one.
Going with a new one.
Oh. Oh. Brake later, turn harder.
Oh, that's not bad. Hmm.
That's why it's the best.
Hmm. All right. My favorite. I always start off with it. What was your first car and what was the worst car you ever had?
The first car is 1995 Audi 90. The worst car? Hmm. Oh yeah, 2000 BMW 325 IS, I think, is like a wagon.
Mhm.
That thing was breaking apart on the in the scenes.
You almost did the thing that makes us feel the worst about everything. It's like some people will come on here and we'll be like, what was your first car? And they're like, oh, I had this old beater. It was 2015. I'm like sitting there going, oh, anyway. Yes, those old beaters from the 20 teens. Anyway, um, Yuri, what is your race car number and why? And do your cars have names?
Yeah. My cars do have names. The Opel is called Susie. Probe was Penelope. For example, and my car numbers start with 31 and just go on. So 31, 32, 33, just in sequence.
Why 31?
Hmm.
And start with a 31 because random number generator.
Okay.
It just happened to be 31. And then the 32 was like, it kind of makes sense. I was trying to figure out what numbers to run, and then it's like, why not just do 32? It just keeps on going.
Okay.
Next one is 34, 35, 36, and whatnot.
Yeah. When Yuri comes on many years in the future and he's on car 86, we know that it's been going poorly
Yeah.
or very well. It depends on which way you want to go.
Mhm.
Right, because I remember your bananas very well. Those were so good. What's the favorite thing for you to order at or near a track?
Uh, Pizza.
Pizza.
Yeah, I don't know why, but pizza, like, lukewarm pizza at the racetrack when you're hungry, it just hits differently than anything else. I mean, we have Edmund, and Edmund cooks really good food, but if I have to order, it's like a pizza. And I had it delivered. It was like a seamless whatever, and the guy just like, "Where do I go?" It's like, "Come here, come here."
Mm. So, what is the one thing that nobody knows about you that would surprise them?
I guess I'm just amazing, and I don't know why.
And
Well,
positive.
we said nobody knows Yuri. We all know you're
Oh.
amazing.
Hmm. I'm not sure. I guess everybody knows everything about me. I'm not really
Yeah.
secretive about anything. Oh, no, that's never gonna. No, pass.
Nope, they know that too.
Well, I know that if you don't have a chimney starter, you can just use Yuri's face.
Okay. At that track, at that event at Thompson, when I lit the fire with my face, we won't see as well. So when it happened, like the fire and everything, and my face got burned, it was on Saturday night. And I didn't want to go to the hospital. If they keep me there, then I'm gonna miss the race. So I stayed there for Sunday with the blank face of just like trying not to move because everything hurt. We won't see. And then they took me to the hospital.
Yep, I remember.
It was fun.
That's the
You know,
easiest
you know
way
what?
for me to remember your name is just light yourself on fire, stay in spite of what you should be doing, win the race, and then go to the hospital. I won't forget your name. All right, Yuri, you were coming on. This question has been banging around in my head for a very long time. I want to know Yuri's answer. So, you're playing the claw game. You're at the track. You're raced against this car in the past or racing against it now. Which car do you want to switch into and where do you want to race it?
Can you repeat that? You kind of broke up.
So, a car that you've raced against in the past
Mhm.
or still racing against now, you are going to switch in and you are going to be the driver. You're going to grab the person, pull them out. You're driving that car. And at what track do you want to do that at?
Ooh.
Any
I
car
do
you've raced.
really like Amanda's BMW.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda Tully BMW, and I think probably probably at the track I've never been to. We should want to try a Summit Point.
Oh, cool. I think Amanda's car has been pilfered the most. I don't know if that's a good sign for Amanda or not, but whatever. It's fine.
It's
Mhm.
just nice.
It is. It looks like
Look
it.
see
I've only
that.
seen the rear end. I've never seen the front.
I saw the front in my rear mirror. I don't saw his back in the
Not for long though.
So what's your favorite track so far and your favorite turn so far?
um, I really have a bunch of favorites, but really I'm kind of getting obsessed with Watkins Glen
Oh,
because it just kind of weird because it's so fast and yet so slow, but to a lot of people it's dangerous because there's no runoffs. But it like you don't need the runoffs. You just drive
just,
without crashing.
just use the blue bushes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Do you
good
have a
to know.
favorite turn, Yuri?
That's mm-hmm.
Favorite turn?
Um, I guess it's the most one to watch out there in turn number 6. It's kind of weird, but it's like so much danger. It's like, ooh, hopefully I don't crash. I just go.
See that? Okay.
That's where the maximum crash to.
So, what is your most memorable car breakdown on road or track?
Um, that would be when the Opel shot a rod through its side at Pittsburgh, and then we were trying to fix it with concrete. But I specified wrong concrete. I should have got the quick set concrete. I just got the sort of the self-leveling concrete, and it was just cold, and the concrete never set. So by Sunday morning, the concrete was still gooey inside, so like I couldn't put the engine back together.
You know, Yuri, I may not be able to help you fix a car according to the manual, but if you need help with ceramics, you let me know. I can get that concrete to set up for you in about 15 minutes. It's okay. Well,
Mm.
next, hopefully not next time, but if next time you need your concrete in your engine to fix your car, just let me know. Go to our OnlyFans site. It'll be there. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. All right. Let's see. We're gonna do one of the newer ones. So, um, if you had a podcast, who would you want as your first guest? And they can be live or dead.
Hmm.
Doesn't have to
Probably.
be a racing podcast.
Well, okay. Actually, I think Mike Zavrin would be awesome in this thing. He's my friend, so
Okay.
he's alive.
Well,
Just to
you
be
know,
specific.
if he's going to be this awesome podcast guest and he's your friend as a podcast guest, you're an honorary producer. So, I mean, it's up to you. If you think
Sweet.
he's if you think he's the man, we're in there.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, in your opinion, how much of racing or driving is learned versus how much is natural skill?
Um, I think it's kind of like perpendicular. So let's say you have like natural skill that you like born with, but that gets you going. But if you start learning, your skill can grow bigger. So together they can be combined and be better. So even if you don't have natural skill, eventually with enough learning and practice, you will get there. Or you can start with natural skill, but never really practice. You'll just kind of stay there. So it's kind of like a combination of two.
Yeah, I like that as an answer.
It's good. Miss Vicki, last one for you.
What are your other hobbies and interests? Do you have time for them?
That's two different
Um,
questions.
well, definitely time is limited. So I do have other hobbies. I do like hiking, camping, stuff like that. Do like 3D printing, modeling, electronics. Don't not much with radios, but just like tinkering with electronics, like Arduino programming, stuff like that. And gardening,
Really?
like growing stuff, right? Just for funsies.
Okay. I better jump in or Miss Vicky's going to go for a couple hours on gardening. So
I like gardening.
she does. Another tour that you can take when you come by.
Mhm.
Oh,
All right, Yuri. Last one for this podcast. We got to save some of these for next time. Okay.
oh.
You're owning a racing team. You don't know what type of car and you don't know what type of racing track. So you're not a very smart owner, but that's fine. So, not knowing the car and not knowing the racing track, what two drivers do you want to be racing for you?
Hmm. Let me see. Maybe Hamilton guy?
Mm-hmm. I've heard of him.
Yeah. And Dale.
Praisdale
Praisdale, yeah.
or Birthday Dale?
Praisdale.
Praisdale. Okay. All right. I just got to make sure because they're right there. You never know which one it's going to be. We can have Birthday Dale as a guest. He'll be part of the pit crew. It'll be fun.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Yuri, you survived. We finally got this one into books.
Sweet.
We only gave you like 3 or 4 things of homework to do. Now you got to come visit and go see the hangar and what not to do for your garage and go see Vicky's garden.
Cool.
We
Sweet.
bribe
I'll
with
definitely
food.
plan to come one day. Mm-hmm.
Works. That would be great. Well, Yuri, obviously you've been doing this way longer than we have. So if people want to see what you've been up to and what the Great Clouds of Oil have been up to, how would they follow along?
I have Facebook. So you can find me on Facebook at Greg Labs of Oil, and also have a YouTube channel by the same name, Greg Labs of Oil. Also on OnlyFans, there's a Yuri's Pleasure Dome. There's not active right now, but I'll resume on that at some point.
Yeah, we're waiting for the critical mass to make it worthwhile. We get it. We get you. We're with you. That's fine. Well, Yuri, it is always fun and great to see you. And I think the three of us would be remiss if we didn't thank you for lending us your garages at the last race, because the weather there was a little dicey at Thompson last time. But thank you. That was great. Sorry you couldn't be there with us, though.
Yeah, I had to do the HPD thing, so.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, Yuri, great talking to you, sir, and thank you for coming on.
Well, thank
Thanks,
you for having me.
Yuri.
Thanks, Yuri.
Bye.